Next student performer from Ording, Washington, Daniel Farrington, everyone.
So, I think my son's a sociopath. I wanted to make sure, though, before I wait and see what he's going for on eBay. So I really wanted to, like figure out some of the symptoms. I wanted to like Google it, but I got so desperate that I actually Binged it, which is an underutilized search engine, I think. But some of the results I got actually like really started to add up. Like there's the lack of remorse and empathy towards other people. There's a perfect example with that. My wife and I were watching Titanic because that's way less depressing than hanging out with the 2-year-old all day. And it got to the end, and right as the ship's sinking, guy falls from the top, the whole length, and right before his head's about to hit the propeller, my son turns to the screen, and he just cracks up laughing, like right as it makes contact. But it didn't start off, it started off as like a normal laugh, but then it kind of escalated into like Dick Dastardly from Wacky Races. It's like, you start off like a like his plan was coming together. Like this is something that he's like, yes, I'll do that. But there's also the lack of respect towards authority and other people. So him being a 2-year-old, which there's luckily for us though he hasn't hit that sexual promiscuity phase that I read about. So, but that'd definitely be the point where we'd start sleeping with the knife under our pillow. But my wife's got the worst of it because she's lucky enough, and we're lucky enough that she's a stay-at-home mom, whereas I'm lucky enough to be a stay-away-from-home father. It's not because I don't love my kid. I do very much. It's just that she does a way better job than I ever would in the same position. She's loving and patient, and I'm just getting frustrated because he can't figure out his alphabet yet. It's like LMNO, 4 different words. Letters, not a word. And so I'm also with my parenting style, I'm learning that I'm quickly running out of shows on Netflix to watch to entertain a 2-year-old. Especially since he's starting to get way too interested in how Dexter is hiding his bodies. And so, my wife would come home and is like, well, how are you watching Game of Thrones? I'm like, well, I had to get cable. Kid's already struggling with his alphabet. Can you say HBO? Oh, can you say NFL? Oh, you see on his helmet? That's a lion. Can you say that team sucks? But then sometimes you get caught and you be like, come on, ref, that call's bullshit. Especially if you watch last night's game. Can you say pass interference? Can you say I'm 2 and I could have made that fucking field goal? Can you say I learned that at daycare? But with one thing I realized with getting cable was it was a lot like when I got married. So at the beginning, we had to come to terms with what we deemed necessary to start this contract. And but with marriage, you don't get to revisit the contract in 2 years and make sure that it's still something that you're okay with. But so you sign the lifelong contract. At first everything's great. You get that extra sports package that you don't even have to pay for. You got that Skinamax channel that, you could come home drunk at 3 a.m. and you'll tune into that Skinamax channel at first and it'll just be perfect. Everything comes in crystal clear, no complaints, no needing to rub its back or anything. But then, but sometimes maybe you get complacent with your cable. You don't watch it as much, maybe. You're not paying attention when she's talking about her coworkers being a bitch. And you start seeing that standard package it's not quite what you remember. Maybe it's the high def's not coming in. You can't even remember the last time you used that Skinamax channel that was so upfront. But then you hear your buddies, if you're complaining, they're talking about these new 19-year-old cable packages coming out. It's like, well, I don't want to leave my current cable provider because then I'm going to have to pay for someone else to use my old service. And they're getting the good shit. And, I mean, I'm just not okay with paying for someone else to fuck my cable box. All right, that's my time. Thank you, guys.